Thank you, Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Toomey, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Pre-pandemic, millions of extremely low-income households, disproportionately people of color, struggled to remain housed, and more than 500,000 people experienced homelessness. 10 million of the lowest income households paid at least half of their limited income on rent, leaving them without resources to put food on the table, purchase needed medications, or otherwise make ends meet. Any financial shock would cause them to fall behind on rent and face eviction, and in the worst cases, become homeless. These same households lost wages, had increased costs, and were at risk of losing their homes during the pandemic. The federal government responded to the clear and growing need by providing unprecedented resources and protections. Congress provided $46 billion in emergency rental assistance. President Trump implemented a national eviction moratorium, which was extended by a bipartisan Congress and further extended by President Biden. These resources and protections kept millions of renters who otherwise would have lost their homes during a global pandemic stably housed. Now, as resources are depleted and protections expire, low-income renters are faced with rising inflation, skyrocketing rents, eviction filing rates that are reaching or surpassing pre-pandemic averages, and in many communities, increasing homelessness. Every $100 increase in median monthly rent is associated with a 9% increase in homelessness. Last year, monthly rents increased on average nationally by nearly $200. Rising rents are driven by increased demand, limited supply, and a mostly unregulated market that allows landlords to raise rents without regard to the impact on tenants. Institutional investors are purchasing homes at an increasing rate, and they are raising rents, charging higher fees as a profit-making strategy, and filing for eviction at alarming rates. A lack of national renter protections places tenants at risk of unjust treatment, housing instability, and evictions. Underlying all these challenges is a long-standing, pervasive, and severe shortage of 7 million homes affordable and available to the lowest income people, which the private market on its own cannot adequately address. The shortage is a structural feature of the country's housing system, impacting every state and nearly every community. Yet Congress only funds housing assistance for 1 in 4 eligible households and has failed to preserve our country's limited supply of public and other deeply affordable housing. To address a decades-long housing crisis that has only worsened during COVID-19, Congress must enact long-term solutions, such as expanding rental assistance for all eligible households in need, preserving and expanding the supply of deeply affordable homes, providing short-term assistance to prevent evictions and homelessness, strengthening and enforcing renter protections, and incentivizing or requiring local governments to eliminate restrictive local zoning. These solutions must be paired with reforms to break down barriers that prevent access to critical resources and that deepen racial disparities. Although the best opportunity to advance long-term solutions is the reconciliation bill moving through the Senate now, it looks unlikely that the bill will address the housing crisis in any meaningful way, leaving renters and people experiencing homelessness to suffer from continued inaction. So as champions like Chairman Brown and others on the committee continue working towards long-term solutions in Congress, the Biden administration must take immediate action to protect tenants from exorbitant rent hikes and prevent more homelessness. The bottom line is this: the country's lowest income seniors, people with disabilities, and working families are struggling to stay housed in this housing market. Without decisive and quick action by the Biden administration and Congress, too many more renters will fall into homelessness, with all its associated costs to children, families, communities, and the country. We can prevent this outcome, but only if we act and act soon. Thank you again for the opportunity.